Hello, my supervisor is here. I hope you enjoyed those couple of seconds there. Well, this week's video is going to be finally working on putting the final tiles down on the floor. A few minutes ago, I had someone here to look at my Subaru that I'm trying to sell, and he was asking about this van and what I was doing, so I showed him. And he tells me I really don't need to use the adhesive on these floor tiles because they have such a sticky back. And he used to work for Home Depot, so I'm hoping that what he's telling me is right. But at least I have the product if these tiles decide to come up, and I can apply it then. It may be a bit of a pain, but it's going to be a pain no matter what I do. So I'm just going to go ahead and trust him, and I'm going to put these vinyl tiles down. I've known other people who have used these peel and stick tiles and that they have worked perfectly fine, but that has been for inside and not for in a van. But I'm willing to give it a try. So I'm going to get started, and I'll be back with you shortly. Well, he did give me a little bit of a lesson that makes sure that you're peeling it in the right direction. And I believe I'm doing so. Maybe not. But this is a little bit of a challenge when you get old and weak and decrepit like I am. The next one, I'll try it the other way to see if it works better. Well, so far I have figured out that it doesn't matter which way you peel it as long as you do it in one direction, and that you can get it off in a fairly easy manner. Times when you got a little bit there, so you gotta stop, work with it slowly. My supervisor's here to tell me. Well, I'm kind of glad I made a little bit of a mistake here so I could learn. And maybe you can learn from me. Like I said before, don't do what Marilyn does. But I wasn't paying attention to where my seam fell up here, so it's just a little bit off. And this stuff is pretty sticky. So I believe the guy from Home Depot that I'm not really going to need that other sticky stuff. Hopefully I can get this laid back down without too much trouble and a few less fingerprints. Oh, I think that's going to be just fine. Hi, Sue. How you doing? But then again, like I've said before, it's just a van. I need to practice here before I do this on my bathroom floor. And not that I am just a van thing, because I want this to be as nice as I can possibly make it. So when I say it's just a van, it is just that. I'm not living in it full time. It's going to be fine. It's not going to be perfect. And this gives me the experience that I'm going to need when it comes time for me to do my bathroom floor. And I intend to do it with the same type of tile. And I've been wanting to do that for 6 years now and just have not jumped in and done it because of that fear factor. So this is a good way to learn how to do it, get more confidence in what I'm doing, and from there just continue on. Isn't that what life is all about? As you have new experiences, you learn things new every day, no matter how old you are. So just jump in and do it. Since I was a child, at least from the age of 10, I've always been interested in doing crafts. I've always liked pretty things. And my mother got me into this Craft of the Month Club, and I always look forward to getting that shipment every month just to see what the next thing would be. And of course, I thought every shipment was perfect. It was just grand. They were always different, and I really enjoyed that. And then as I got older, I kind of got out of it, I think mostly because, you hit high school. And there's things to do with your friends. Not that I got to do that much with my friends, but I was involved in a few things for a couple of years. 7th and 8th grade, I was involved with a band. By 9th grade, I really wasn't doing much, but in my junior and senior year, I got involved with the school class plays. So, yeah, I was kind of busy in that aspect. But what I was mostly busy with was my studies, because I always wanted to get good grades. That was important to me. And at some point, I learned how to crochet. Well, my crocheting at that time wasn't good, so I converted to learning how to knit, and that became easier. My mother taught me how to knit, and I made a number of things. And then when I started having children, that all went by the wayside. Of course, I was working full time. That took away any time that I had for any free time to myself as far as doing crafts. As a single mother, I really didn't have time for much. I worked full time and was raising my son, and then I had another son. And when he was about 9 months old, I was involved in a car accident, so I was not able to work for a number of months. And going bonkers, just sitting at home taking care of kids wasn't my thing. I mean, I love my children, don't get me wrong. But I needed something more. So my mother got me involved in a ceramics class, and I did that for maybe 3 years, and I really enjoyed that. Well, then I went back to work, and I was working full-time, and I just didn't have the time I needed to do crafts anymore, so I kind of gave it up. Still had an interest. Every once in a while I would dabble in something, but it wasn't really until about 2010, and by this time my children are grown, out of the house, and I got interested in collecting sea glass or beach glass. And if you don't know what that is, it's just broken shards of glass, that had been thrown into the waters, whether it be the ocean or the lakes. And Lake Erie really had a lot of wonderful beach glass, so I collected it, and I started making jewelry. Something I never thought I'd have an interest in was making jewelry. But I really got interested in that, and I did quite well with it. And I had a little business, and again, I'll plug my little business. It was called Lake Gems Beach Glass. It is no longer open, but I do have some pieces left over that I'm trying to sell. And you can find that on my Facebook page. If you look up Lake Gems Beach Glass, it might take you to it. I don't know how well it works anymore. I haven't checked it out in a long time. I should do that. But if you find it and you happen to see any pieces there that you think you'd be interested in, just get in touch with me, and I'd be glad to have you take it off my hands, and I'll give you a decent price on it. But anyhow, that bit of experience with the craft projects as a child has always piqued my interest on learning how to do things. And my biggest problem was when it came to something like this, to build anything, I never had anyone who could actually guide me on it. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I started camping in my minivan, and I built that kitchenette, and my son helped me. He taught me how to do a few of those things, and I went ahead and did it. And I haven't really done much since then, but my mind is always going there. And now that I've got this van, I've got all kinds of things that I have to slow myself down to think about as to how I want it really set up. And right now, my biggest problem is what I'm going to do about a bed. I want my bed to run east-west, but I don't really want a platform bed that requires a piece of wood that you put a piece of foam on, because to me, that is not comfortable. I need something soft and squishy, and I don't want to feel that hard board underneath me. I'll be tossing and turning all night, and I do enough of that as it is. But I'm sure by the time I'm ready to do that part, I'll have it all figured out. And if I don't have it figured out then, it won't take me long. I will get right at it, and we'll get her done somehow. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Well, look who's back. And what do you want? I'm working hard in here. What are you doing? Huh? What do you want? I know what you want. I know what time it is. You might be a little bit late tonight, but not by much. I have a couple more tiles that I want to put down. That's it. You go away. Don't go away mad. Well, I just mismeasured, but it's going to be okay. As you can see, I'm off by about an inch on this left-hand corner, but I'm not going to worry about it because this part is probably going to be under a cabinet along this whole floor, so it's really not going to make a whole lot of difference, I don't think. I'll just be a little more careful on the other side where it's going to show up more. Like, yeah, over here. I'll be more careful. Okay, well, I'm on my last piece of tile from the first box. And it worked out quite well because this is the last piece that I actually can put on whole. After this, I have to start measuring and cutting. And you obviously found out how well I measure things since I realized that I mismeasured right from the get-go by an inch off. But like I said, it's going to be okay. Probably won't notice it that much, and if you are, you're looking too close. If I were a professional installer, I'd be hollered about it, but since I'm doing the work in my own van, I'm okay with it. It'll be just fine. One of the things I'm trying to get over is that perfection thing. I'm one of those who, in my career, I insisted on perfection. And in one of my main hobbies, which is genealogy, perfection really counts for a lot there too, so you don't attach the wrong person to the wrong tree. But we're not going for perfection here. We're just going for something that I can live with, something I can get done, something my supervisor who's looking at me will be satisfied with. Yes, honey, that's the last piece, and I'll come in and get your supper, okay? I know, you're starving to death. See, she is. She's starving to death. Can't you tell? Now that the sun has moved behind the clouds, I'm going to get this portion filmed before it comes back out. But this is what I got done today. That is one full box of vinyl tiles. I have a second box waiting for me. And it can wait until I'm ready to really concentrate on measuring and cutting it properly. So that should be within the next couple of days. So today was a really comfortable day finally. Yesterday it was like 84 degrees. Today it's 64. And yesterday evening we had some serious storms roll through here. We had tornado warnings. And we actually had a tornado touch down 9 miles north of us. Thankfully there were no injuries that I'm aware of or any deaths. Just a lot of damage. Some people are still without power. So I'm thankful it didn't come down this way, but we got to pray for those who were involved. But because it was so hot yesterday and that storm came through, today's temperatures were very comfortable at a high of 64. And the rest of this week, it's supposed to be a high of 70s, 72, mid-70s anyhow. So that's going to be a really nice week for me to come out here and work in the van. Even during the rainy days that we're forecasted to have, I could at least maybe get some insulation done and work on the rest of this floor. I do have to insulate the little nooks and crannies inside the van, and I did get some of that compressed denim or whatever you call. I'll have to show you that bale so you know what I'm talking about. I was looking for Havelock wool, but that was almost double the cost of what I ended up buying, and it's just to stuff in the nooks and crannies, so let's hope it works. So anyhow, I'll be right with you. This is what I decided to buy for insulation in those nooks and crannies where I've got to tear it apart and stuff it in the tight spots. It is interior and exterior. No itchy fibers, that's always a plus, but it's recycled denim insulation. It's fairly new, although I have heard about it. You can read down through all the specs here. What I like is it's fire resistant, sound absorption, resistant to mold and mildew, thermal performance, and easy installation. Now it does come in sheets, so I could put it in the bigger spots if I want to, and maybe I'll do that with some of them. I'm not sure. I mainly got it because I needed the nooks and crannies filled. And the Havelock wool that I was finding was double the price of this. And even though this was pricey, that was even pricier. And it was a much smaller bale. So I'm willing to give it a try. It does have an insulation value of R13. And that's really pretty darn good. I'll go for that. And this bale is pretty heavy. It does cover 77.5 square feet. I would guess it to be maybe 40 to 45 pounds altogether. I managed to get it out of my car and walked into the garage. So yeah, it's a good size bale. You can't tell by just this way. Maybe I can turn it around some way. Hold on. So yeah, here I am sitting on that bale of denim insulation. So as you can see, you get a pretty good sized bale. And hopefully that'll be a haul I will need. I have decided that for now, this is as far as I'm going with the vinyl tiles being laid down. I don't want to really go any further until the windows get installed, which will be a couple of weeks. Meantime, I want to be measuring and maybe constructing the boxes that will go around the wheel wells. I won't be installing those until after the windows are done, but I figure maybe I can at least build them and do something in the couple of weeks while I'm waiting. So for now, this is what I have for this week's update. So Jazzy and I are just sitting here in the van enjoying. There's nothing in here other than what I just showed you a few minutes ago, other than me and Jazzy. And we're just sitting here enjoying our special little place. I just wanted to share these few moments with you, and while we're here, just wanted to say thank you so much for following along with us. I hope you will continue to. And, well, I think she's going to decide to leave. Oh, what a special little girl she is. She knows she's the light of my life. So again, I just want to say thank you for following along, and I hope you continue to do so. I appreciate all of my subscribers. Thank you so much, and God bless.